Hit toward third. Castro has it. Spins. Fires. A perfect game. Roy Halladay has thrown the second perfect game in Philadelphia.
Line drive, right center field, base hit.
Ground ball over the mound. Waiting for it. Muncy, he booted it. One runner's in. Here comes Swing to throw. Save!
Hits one in the air, left center field. Back it goes. Harper, the swing of his life. Fastball hit to left. It is long gone.
And Hamels with a 3-2 pitch. Swinging a high fly ball deep center field. Herrera back on the track. And did he make the catch? He fell down and he's got
Here's the strike by Robinson. The 3-0 pitch. Swinging long drive. There it is. Number 500. The career 500th home run.
Hello. What is up, everybody? We are joining you live this evening. Welcome to episode 27 of the Bell Smashers podcast. Nick Castellanos just had a two-run triple. So we were like, let's go live right now to celebrate. I'm your co-host,
Perfect
Jen.
timing.
Yeah.
I'm Kylie.
Our girl Haley is under the weather, so feel better, Haley. And if you're watching live, if you're watching later, you can see we have a special guest, Geoff Crawley, voice of the fan with a PH on Twitter. Those of you who are on Philly's Twitter, you already know him. But welcome, Geoff.
Thank you. Welcome. It's an honor to be here with you guys.
Oh, it's an honor to have you.
Yes.
Before we talk, we obviously want to talk Phillies. We want to hear about your story, of course, but I'm going to toss it over to Kylie for our special message.
Oh, you don't want to do it today? All right.
I'm giving it back to you this week.
This is my favorite part of the show, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. We are brought to you by Fired Up Sports and sponsored by Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com for all your hair care needs for everywhere. Use code BELLSMASH at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. They have everything. I just ordered another pack of chapstick because anybody that knows me knows I'm addicted to chapstick. They have subscriptions for everything and best place to go to for all your stuff. So go check them out.
Absolutely agreed. And Father's Day is coming up, so
There you go.
they have hair care for everywhere, chapstick, as Kylie was saying, toiletry bags for the man or men in your life. So take advantage of that code.
Yes. Now,
Let's get to it.
let's get to the Phils. Let's get to last year where your story kind of was told. So for those of you who don't know, you are the guy behind the hashtag Win It for Skip and the whole story behind that. So for those who don't know, you want to tell the story?
So the story starts. It starts really last July when I lost my dad to cancer. My dad's name is Skip, and when the Phillies got on this magical run. My friend Dennis and I, we try to go up to, because I live in DC, he lives in Jersey, and we try to meet once a month to go to a game. And, you know, as we like to joke, you know, we're old, so we treat ourselves to nice seats and everything. So we like to try to sit behind home plate and things like that. So we were at the first game. We were at the game before Girardi got fired. And as we walked out, I said to Dennis, he's got to go. He's got to go. And Dennis said, Dennis is like, well, he's not the problem. And I'm like, okay, he might not be the problem, but he sure ain't the answer.
Right.
Girardi has to go. And so the next day he got fired. And then
you were right.
From there, right. As I usually am with Dennis, I usually am correct when we are. Dennis is my oldest friend. We've known each other since middle school. So I said to him, he said, you know, no team fires a manager and then goes on to win anything. And I said, this team is going to be special. I'm telling you, this team. But he says, Geoff, you say that every year, which I do, to be fair. So fast forward to, you know, like I said, July, my dad got sick, died from cancer. Then fast forward now to the playoffs. So we get to the playoffs and we're playing against St. Louis. And I'm thinking, okay, I just want a home playoff game. If I get a home playoff game, I'll be happy with that. So got the home playoff game. Of course, it is against the Braves, who are they're the team I hate the most in baseball. I'm a little older than you guys. So you guys don't remember the torture that the Braves put us through in the late 80s, early 90s. It was awful, and I hate them. So it's professional.
We still hate them, though.
Yeah, well, but you guys hate the Mets probably more than I do.
Kylie hates the Braves the most.
I do. And well, the Astros are getting close. They're getting real close.
For me, yes. For me, it will always be the Mets.
Yes.
Yeah, see, the Mets don't bother me because they stink. And they
True.
even when they win, they stink.
Yeah, so they always choke.
The Mets don't bother me as much as the Braves do. I mean, we're watching the Braves right now. Look they're so good. I hate them. Anyway, so when we were playing the Braves, and I'm thinking, okay, we win the first game, and I'm thinking, okay, so we split with the Braves. Now, maybe what happens if we get to the NLCS? I mean, that's not going to happen. But what if it does? And then Spencer Strider, who has got the most punchable face in baseball. Is anybody more than Spencer Strider? I just want to punch him, and I want to punch him that mustache right off his face. I just can't stand him. Anyway, so Spencer Strider implodes, right? And so after Spencer Strider implodes, and then my favorite moment in the postseason last year, besides obviously Bedlam at the bank, is JT's inside the park home run. It's my favorite moment from the
same.
Jen was there for that.
I was there.
So awesome. So
I was there for the first game. I was there for the first game against Strider.
And I'll just say briefly, I was there for the inside the park home run. Those of our listeners who have been listening to us for a while know that. And I was sitting with my dad. So Geoff, we were talking about before we recorded that baseball is family. And it was, I think, one of the most special moments of my entire life, just because my dad is the reason that I love sports in the first place. You know, when I was a little girl, I wanted to spend time with him. So I just sat there in the living room watching with him. But then I actually caught on and enjoyed it. And he explained everything to me. So to be with him now as an adult, enjoying that moment, was incredible for both of us.
Yeah, I have 4 kids. They have zero interest in sports at all.
Oh, no.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
If I ever have kids, they won't have a choice. They'll be forced.
No, they won't have a choice.
My youngest son likes to go to Flyers games with me, but I think that's more because he likes Lorenzo's pizza than anything else.
Hey, it's all about the incentives.
Yeah, whatever works, right? So we beat the Braves, and I said to my wife, who is the coolest woman there ever was, right? So I said to my wife, I'd like to go to a NLCS game. And she said, well, how much are the tickets? And so we started looking at the tickets for Philadelphia, and the tickets are like $2,000-$3,000. And I'm like, that's too much. So just like for grins, I looked to see how much tickets were in San Diego, and I could sit behind home plate like I always like to for $300 in San Diego, which is insane to me. Right. I'm like, so I said to my wife, like, I have miles. We travel a lot for work. She has a cleaning business. And so we travel a lot for that. So I have miles. I have hotel points. I could fly for free. I could stay at a hotel for free, and I could pay $300 and watch the game. So she says, well, then you can do that. That's fine. So I buy the ticket. I fly out for game one. They win game one with that monstrous Schwarber home run.
What did that look like in person?
It was, so I'm sitting behind home plate. When he hit it, I was like, oh my God.
It's one of the farthest home runs I've seen in my life.
So far.
Yeah.
It was so far.
It's still going.
It's still right. Yeah, I think it just landed.
Yeah.
And the people in San Diego were so nice. I could not get over how nice they were. Like every time somebody struck out, I would stand up. And again, I'm sitting behind home plate, so it's not like I'm far away. I would stand up and I would go, Soto, party of one, your table's now available. And then one lady next to me laughed. She said, that's so funny. I've never heard anything like that before. I'm like, you guys are way too nice. I'd be getting thrown down the steps if I was in Chase Stadium right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
They were super polite. And they explained it to me. Their big rival is the Dodgers. They don't care about anybody but the Dodgers. Once they beat the Dodgers, they were fine.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the Dodgers were on a tear that year. And
They were. And once they beat the Dodgers, they really were like, okay, we're happy. So we win game one. So I call my wife and say, well, I got to go to game two now. So she says, fine, you can stay for game two, but then you're coming home after that. I'm like, okay, fine. So I got the ticket for game two. And then right before game two, I'm sitting in my seat because I like to get to games early because I'm a dork and I like to watch batting practice and all that.
I do too.
We do too. Yeah,
Right,
you're
so I'm not alone.
talking to the right people.
So I'm sitting there and I see John Clark interviewing who I thought for some reason was Chris Wheeler. I didn't know, wasn't sure who it was. So I said, I took a selfie with Clarky and this other person who turned out to be Scott Boras. And so I have a selfie with me and John Clark and Scott Boras, which that was kind of cool.
That's awesome.
So I had the shirt with my dad's picture on it that I brought out with me that I had sitting in the seat next to me. And John Clark asked, so what's the story here? So I told him what the story was. My dad's, we were doing hashtag win it for Skip, and my dad just died. And we just have this whole thing where we're just kind of trying to go through this whole process, and it's helping me grieve. And, I wanted to go see another game with my dad, and I don't believe in looking down and all that stuff. But I just wanted to, it just feels like my dad's with me when I took the shirt with me. So he said, that's awesome. Can I take a picture? I said, sure. So he takes the picture and posts it. He said, do you mind if I post it? I'm like, oh, sure. I don't care. I didn't think anything of it. Right. So he posts a story, and by like the third inning, people are texting me like, your picture's gone viral. I'm like, what are you talking about? I have no idea what they're talking about. But then the next day I get a text from my friend Terry. She said, Bryson Stott's looking for you. I'm like, what are you talking about? Bryson Stott's looking for me. So as you guys know, Bryson Stott saw the picture, said, hey, I have tickets for this guy for two of the games. He had tickets for me for two of the games for the NLCS. So I said, so I'm going to games 3 and 4, I guess. So it was games 3 and 4. So I went to games 3 and 4, and I went there with my cousin. And when we were there, we were in the house for Bedlam at the Bank, because he and I were thinking about it the other day. Like, how come we never heard that? It's like, because we were there. when Harper hit that home run, right before Harper hit the home run, I swear this is what happened. I looked at my cousin. There was kind of a nerve. I don't know. Were you guys at that game?
No.
Jen was. Oh,
Okay.
wait.
No, I wasn't at Bedlam at the Bank.
Oh,
Okay. So there was this nervous energy, right, in the crowd, because we were down 1. It's the 8th inning. Mm-hmm. There's this nervous energy. And I look at my cousin, and my cousin points to, I swear, he points to the exact spot Bryce hit it to. He said he's going to hit it right there. And as soon as he said that, the next pitch, Bryce hit it out, and we were all, I'm getting choked up just thinking about it.
Me too. I'm like,
this is like, it's one of the greatest.
Are coming.
It's one of the greatest moments in Philadelphia sports history.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There were a lot of titles, right? But Bedlam at the Bank is one of the greatest moments in Philly sports history, and I was there thanks to Bryson Stott, right?
Awesome.
And it's just I'm walking around the city, carrying the sweatshirt with my dad. People were coming up to me. People were like, "Are you Geoff?" And I'm like, "What? First of all, how do you know me?" And they're like, people were just coming up to me saying, "Can I take my picture? Can I give you a hug? Can I just say thank you?" And these are men and women.
Yeah.
I got a letter in the mail from a woman who wrote an article like 30 or 40 years ago in a newspaper, and she sent me the clip of the article from the newspaper about how her and her dad heard their love for baseball and how it joined them, kind of like you and your dad, Jen. It was kind of very much like that.
Okay,
She sent me that article, and it was just like, it was such a great experience. I got to meet all kinds of people. The Philadelphia Inquirer did a story on me, and while they were doing the story on me, I'm standing outside the stadium, and this guy points at me and he says, "You come here," like that. This is older gentleman, the older Hispanic gentleman. He points at me, he said, "You come here." And so I start to walk over to him, and the girl with the camera comes over, and he says, no pictures. He says, "No pictures." So I sit down next to him, and I had a Bake McBride jersey on, who was the Bake McBride. Yeah, never mind. I'm so used to having to explain who Bake McBride is to people. And go like, "Who is that?" Anyway, I had a Bake McBride jersey on, and I sit down next to him, and he said, "How do you know Bake McBride?" I said, "Bake McBride was my favorite player on the 80 Phillies team. Like the 80 Phillies team for me is what the 08 team is for you guys."
Mhm.
Right? Like that was when I fell in love with baseball in 1980, when that team won the World Series. And so I said, "Bake McBride was my favorite player on that team." And he said, "Bake was a good friend of mine. I'm kind of mad at him right now." And I'm like, "Why?" It's caught, Kaylee. Don't.
I saw.
Live reactions. Austin Riley almost had a home run, but it was caught by Schwarber.
Oh God.
So I said, so I said, "Yeah, Bake McBride was my favorite player." And so he says, "Bake was a friend of mine. I'm kind of mad at him right now." And I kind of looked at him. I said, "Oh my God, are you Manny Trio?" And he said, "Yes, I am." So Manny Trio is my dad's favorite player ever. Like I was like, "You're my dad's favorite player." I told him what was going on with my dad and everything.
Okay.
And I said, so I got to take a picture with Manny Trio. And I said, "You are how I know how to throw a baseball. My dad taught me to throw a baseball the way you throw a baseball. That's how he taught me how to throw it." And I can still hear my dad's voice. "So you have to snap your wrist like Manny Trio. Snap the wrist like Manny Trio." And so I got to talk to Manny Trio and tell him that story. And so I was super emotional after that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I respect everyone's beliefs, regardless of what they are. My personal belief is that wasn't a coincidence. I'll just say that.
Probably not. I respect everybody's beliefs too, but I also don't believe in coincidences. So, it was just the fact that he happened to be there while the paper is doing a story on me. It was just, and he was sitting outside. He was just sitting around, like just sitting there, like a regular fan, like he wasn't, freaking Manny Trio, right?
Yeah, which is why you had to make sure.
Yeah, I was
really
like,
was
I'm
him.
looking at him, I'm thinking in my head, this looks like Manny Trio, but it can't really be Manny Trio. But it was. So it was just stuff like that. And then people coming up telling me their story about how they connected with their parents and their families through baseball, and how, just Philly sports is it's a different animal. It's a different animal. It's like I have friends, I have lots of friends here that, they're Nats fans and blah, 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 and whatever, but you don't get it. If you're not from Philly, or if you don't have ties to Philly, you don't get it.
Right.
It's just, and yeah, you can talk about how the Phillies are the losingest franchise ever in history, and the Eagles only have one Super Bowl, and the Sixers haven't won anything in 40 years, and the Flyers haven't won anything in 50 years. And guess what? We don't care.
Right.
Because I have another shirt that says "No one likes us and we don't care."
That's right.
Because it doesn't matter. We're always going to support our teams. whether they're good or bad. Although I was talking to Kylie the other day. I am considering becoming a Devils fan until the Flyers stop sucking.
Hey, we'll take you. We will take you.
That's another story for another podcast.
Correct.
No, but like, all of us, from the DMV, and of course it's a sack fly. And they just, all my friends, I don't go to games with any of my friends. It's always my parents, because my friends just don't get it. They are there when the Nats win the World Series and the Caps win the Stanley Cup, or whatever it is. The Orioles are good, so now people are talking about them. But like, when I go up to the to Delco twice a month, and when the Eagles were in the Super Bowl, everybody's porch lights were green. And for the World Series, everybody had Philly stuff on, and they had a Phillies flag on their yard. And everybody's mad at the Flyers right now. I get it. Yes. Everybody's really mad at the Sixers, me included. I get it. But you will always, no matter what time of the year it is, see everybody wearing something Philly sports related every day of the week.
And what we've been saying the past couple of weeks, this Phillies team that is consistently below 500 right now, they're still selling out games at Citizens Bank Park. Even on Tuesday during the day, I was like, wait, there's so many T-Mac said there were still around 40,000 people there.
Yeah.
And
As opposed to Atlanta, where they can't even sell out a playoff game.
That's
another story.
Preach, Geoff.
Yeah, no, I mean, and it's the same thing here in DC. And no disrespect, I get it. There's a lot to do here. I get that, but I will tell you, it's just not the same. It's just not, and the feeling is not the same. I was downtown the day of the Nats parade. I was downtown DC doing some volunteer work. You would not have known that the Nats won the World Series.
No.
It was wild because I know some diehards Nats fans.
Me too.
Yeah,
we all do.
Such as they are.
So they're not included.
They're so adorable with the diehard Nats fans. It's just like amazing. It's like the Nats, they don't understand why Bryce Harper is my favorite player. Bryce Harper's been my favorite player before he was a Philly, and I try to explain to them why. And he became my favorite player the day Cole Hamels hit him to teach him a lesson, right? And so he just goes to first and then doesn't say anything, doesn't look at Hamels, he just takes his armor off and then runs to first. And then he steals second, and then he steals third, and then he steals home. And I said, that's how you react. That's how you do it. And that's the day he became my favorite player. And it's why I have 12 Bryce Harper jerseys right now.
That's legit. And I'm wearing my Harper jersey.
Yeah.
Kylie's in a Stott shirt and jersey.
Yeah, I had to go with the Stott jersey for the story, and also with my 4 favorite things shirt here.
Harper, Realmuto, Schwarber, Castellanos. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
4 favorite things. Yes.
So anyway, but as people know, Stott and Harper are best friends since they were kids. So counts.
So it's all pretty much the same, basically.
I think it's crazy that they grew up together, sort of, and now they're playing together. That's kind of, I love it.
At least they knew each other when they were younger. I don't think they were really
they were close
friends until right now, obviously. And then they were roommates for so long.
They were roommates.
Awesome.
And they were roommates.
They were roommates.
It's like Scott, I mean, it's like Marsh and Bohm right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm still trying to figure out why I do like Brandon Marsh. He always looks wet. I'm trying to figure out like he's auditioning for a scene in Top Gun or something. I don't understand.
I think he does something with his hair, either wetting it or the beard or the length of his hair. Something related to some part of his hair on his face.
Is in
honor of his dad.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I've heard like T-Mac say it also the wet hair part helps keep him cool That's why he re-wets it like every 2 innings.
Yeah.
That makes sense. I will say this about him: every time he opens his mouth, I like him a little bit more. Because here's a guy that absolutely gets how fortunate he is.
Mhm.
Right? Every time he talks about how much he loves baseball and how lucky we are to be able to play a game for a living. It's just, Kylie, I think I said this to you a couple of weeks ago. This team is so hard not to like.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? It's so hard not to like these. I mean, these guys, they all get it. And people say Bryce Harper panders to the crowd. And like, so what? I'm all about it. I'd like to be. So
Me too.
If he's, I don't think it's all pander. He definitely does pander, but he does it the right way.
I agree.
And his attitude toward everything. And when he was asked during the postseason something, he was like, baseball is a what have you done for me lately sport. And this city is a what have you done for me lately fan base.
Yeah.
Perfect. I don't know. It's a perfect match. And with Marsh, he's my cousin's favorite. He's my cousin's boyfriend's favorite player. Very random reason. He's like, I think he said he's just like a guy you would talk to, or I don't know.
I agree. He looks like my oldest daughter's boyfriend. He looks, legit. Like
he looks just like a normal dude. Yeah.
He does. Yeah. And I just love it.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason why all the guys are so, I don't know, just they're so easy to like, is because they're not, you have so many of those athletes that are just like very arrogant and give 2-worded answers and don't want to interact with people, with fans.
Yeah. And they understand that we are, like, even Alec Boehm last year when he had said what he said.
Right. Everyone knows.
Everyone knows. And it's like, when he said it, when everybody that saw him say that kind of went, yeah, me too sometimes. I get it. It's like, we got it. And then after the game, he owned it. He didn't try to He didn't try to talk his way out of it or act like he didn't say it, or he owned it. And it's just how can you not love a guy like that?
Yeah.
How can you not love a guy that gets it?
And that's why he got a standing ovation the next day, because, and that's what makes Phillies fans different too. Like, everyone saw those interviews on the local news. Like what other city pays that much attention?
They had shirts the next day.
Literally
shirts the next day. It's so awesome.
And we talk about this all the time too. But last time I was at a game in Philly, I saw this like 8 or 9-year-old kid with like a Mickey Morandini jersey, like just from all these, regardless of your age,
right?
Phillies fans wear jerseys from across several different decades.
Yeah,
it's not just like everyone wearing Harper as other cities do.
Yeah, I have Harper jerseys just mostly to annoy the people that I live around here.
Yeah, same.
Yep, me too.
Why do you have so many Harper jerseys? Just because?
Because he's great.
Yeah, literally. When I go to national, when the Phillies play the Nationals in DC, I will only wear my Harper jerseys.
Right.
I had to wear this Stott jersey last time because we were in a playoff hunt, and this is my lucky jersey and my lucky shirt.
Yeah.
So I had to wear it then. But every other time it's Harper.
Now one of us can wear Harper, one of us can wear Turner, one of us can wear Schwarber, all these former nationals.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now we have all these represent. I do need to get a Turner jersey. That's my next one.
Me too.
Turner. Yeah. I think I'm going to get a Marsh jersey too. I think we can get a Turner. Turner and Marsh will be my next two, I think.
Love it.
Ooh, I love it. So this season, they've obviously been struggling a little bit.
It's May.
It is May.
Geoff is a fellow optimist.
It's May. It's May. How can you have watched this team after last year and not? I think this is the part that people forget, and this is what I try to tell everybody. When the Phillies made the playoffs and everybody was saying, "Oh, they're so underachieving," it's like this has been, and I would say it to anybody who would listen, this has been the best team in baseball since Joe Girardi got fired. Last year, they were the best. They were the third best team in baseball after Joe Girardi got fired. They were the third best team record-wise in baseball.
Mhm.
And everybody was acting like it was such a surprise, and it's not if you pay attention. And this is the part that people don't pay attention. They check out in May or they check out in June, and they forget there's 4 months left in the season. It's like it's a long season. When baseball season started this year, my wife was like, "No, it's too soon." I was like, "No, you only think that because we went to the World Series last year. It only feels too soon. It's not. It's time to start. Let's go."
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Because we started the podcast on Black Friday, and which was like a couple weeks after the World Series. It was 2-3 weeks, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah, about.
Yeah.
And it was only a couple episodes before it was spring training.
Yeah. Right.
It was.
Next thing you know, it's spring training already.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
wild.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like this is what baseball is. It's more than any other sport. It's a long grind. It's a long season, and you can get all worked up about a game on Thursday in the middle of May, or you can remember that this time last year they were in last place and the manager was about to get fired. They were playing so poorly, the manager got fired.
Yeah.
So, that's not going to happen this year, and the players know that. So it's on them.
Mhm.
So either they've got to figure it out and turn it around, or they won't. But the bottom line is, we have to be realistic too about what's going on. We're down to our third first baseman. I mean, Cody Clemens is playing first base on a regular basis, for crying out loud. So
Yeah.
I this is how optimistic I am, right? I think that we're gonna when we get to the World Series, Alec Boehm will be back, or not Alec Boehm, Rhys Hoskins will be back when we get to the World Series to play at least some DH. And then that time we'll have a flip, right? So Hoskins will DH and Harper will play first in the World Series. Calling it now. As we beat Houston for revenge. Because who else?
I got goosebumps, Geoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anybody else coming out of the AL.
Oh, something bad just happened in the game.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah.
You're
Houston,
about to
What
see
just
it,
happened?
Kylie.
Houston's so good. They're so good.
Are you kidding me?
Okay, Harris hit a 2-run home run, so now we're losing 3-2.
Well, I mean, it is the fifth inning and it's Taiwan Walker, so I don't know what this is kind of.
Okay, but we should. Yes.
Call me Alec Boehm because I hate this place.
We say that a lot on this pod. Again, despite being the optimists that we are, they try their best to turn us.
Yeah. It's
Right
May.
down the middle.
It's May.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
It
not a
is
great
May.
pitch. That was
It's
not a great pitch.
it's just it's very frustrating, especially with starting pitching.
Yeah. Well, especially when starting pitching is supposed to be
The number one thing we have.
it's supposed to be a strength of this team, but the offense, I feel like, I don't know. I think we're missing Painter, more than maybe we thought, especially since Suarez wasn't ready at the beginning of the season. His struggles right now are due, I think, to the fact that he didn't have a preseason. I mean, that's what we're going through his spring training right now, and so again,
agreed.
long season. It's a long season. Listen, if we're still having this conversation in August, then that's a different conversation. But the reality is, if we're having a conversation in August and we're 5 games out of the third wild card, we're still in striking distance. And that's the beauty of the third wild card is we proved it last year. All you got to do is get in.
Right.
You get in, you got a shot. Nobody wants to play. Nobody wants to play this team in a short series.
No.
Nobody. Because with the offense being able to heat up the way it does, and you have those two at the top, Wheeler and Nola at the top. And if Suarez figures it out, which I'm sure he will by the end of the year, that's 3. I mean, that's 3 as pitchers as good as anybody in the majors.
Mhm.
Nobody wants the Phillies in a short series. Nobody.
Yeah, I think what's keeping me from going too crazy about this team is they are showing that they care. They are showing the emotion. They are showing they're frustrated, and and they they are very much aware of how they're performing right now. And last year was a little different. They didn't show that emotion under Girardi. They didn't, have an identity.
Well, they showed the emotion. There we go. They showed the emotion that their manager showed.
Double play.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it that
I want to go on record and say I never liked the Girardi hiring. Never, not once. When they hired him, I didn't like it. I thought it was a bad hire.
That's surprising. I liked it.
Yeah,
that
is surprising.
I didn't like it because, first of all, so I'll compare him to, not to cross streams or anything, but I'll compare him to Doc Rivers, right?
Yes.
Amazing how great a coach is when you have 3 Hall of Famers, right? Like he did in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny what a great manager you are when you have Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera. When you have guys like that, it's easy to manage, and it's easy to say, oh, look at him rolling the dice with a 7-out save. That's easy to do when you have the greatest closer of all time. But when you're reaching back for Sir Anthony Dominguez in his rookie year, you don't know what you're going to get, and that's when you have to manage, and he doesn't know how to do that. That's the problem. And I never thought he was a great manager. When they hired him, I thought it was not a great hire. So I was very happy when he got fired. Not that you're happy.
You make a good point, though. I think part of what makes a great manager is the team you have and the circumstances, which is another point for Rob Thompson.
Exactly.
Inheriting that awful team and bringing them to the World Series.
Right. Yes. So, you can't not hire Rod Thompson at that point. You have to extend his contract at that point.
Of course. Absolutely. And I was saying it too. They were both living off their decade plus ago hype.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked Girardi back then, the hiring itself, until I saw the presser, and I was like, I don't know if he's gonna get along with Bryce.
Yeah,
I'm not 100% sure about that. And then when they fired him, the first time Bryce is on the mic, he says, "Getting the young guys to play."
Yeah,
it was so
first
obvious.
thing he says on the mic. I was like, well, that's a Girardi slander if I've ever heard one.
Right, because Girardi's not letting any young guys play. I just don't.
No.
And Scott being Harper's best friend.
Right, and
Exactly.
and I think. Well, I put it more on Gabe Kapler, but I think they ruined Scott Kingery. But that's a lot of that was Gabe Kapler's fault. But Girardi sure didn't help because he doesn't like playing young guys. Put Kingery in center field and leave him alone and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know he's a second baseman, but still, just leave him in one position and see what happens instead of making him a super utility guy his rookie year. That's not how that works.
Yeah.
Guys become super utility guys later in their careers. That's
absolutely.
Nobody starts off like that. But Gabe Kapler is Wile E. Coyote super genius. So do not get me started on Gabe Kapler. I will be here all night talking about him.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, no.
When he was gone, I was over the moon. And then when the last few managers and GMs are just
we've been through a lot.
We have. We deserved the World Series last year.
Yeah,
we did. And I am super mad at the script writers for giving that arrogant fan base the World Series when
it's just and again, arrogant. That's such a good way to put it.
Yeah,
because they just, again, and not for nothing, and I'm not saying we're the best. Well, we are the best fan base in the world, but we don't. We deserve better. We just do.
Yeah.
We deserve. We don't. Houston. Why Houston, Miami? Why are these teams winning? They don't we deserve those titles, all of them.
Yes, we do. We have been through so much as a city, and especially as a Phillies fan. 10 years without the playoffs is a long time for a team that makes you contend every year.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So last year was a building block. I don't know. This year has been kind of crazy with the very annoying pitch clock, which we talked about before we went live. None of us like it.
I like the idea of it.
Yeah.
I don't like
It's execution, right?
Yes. And Kylie, I've talked about this a lot on Twitter, is that why do we even have umpires? Why do we even have people on the field? Why? We don't need umpires calling balls and strikes. Robots can do that.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to have an umpire in the field for a close play that you don't want to have to go to replay for, fine. But umps should not be calling balls and strikes, period.
Yeah. I'm okay with the check swings and doing safe or out when, on base, but like calling balls and strikes, no.
Yeah, that's not balls and strikes shouldn't be a judgment call, and it is.
Right.
But it shouldn't be. The strike zone, there's a box. We can see it on TV. We can see it. It's like we don't have to. Oh, it just drives me nuts. The arrogance of the umpires to and it goes back to spring training when the guy threw JT Realmuto out.
Yeah,
I was just about to say.
Literally, it's just, you can tell it's a power thing, it's an ego thing.
Yeah.
And that's what bothers me the most, because I'm genuinely concerned that somebody's gonna get hurt because the pitcher throws and then at the same time that the umpire is calling a timeout.
Right.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Especially again, like when you have a player who is trying to game the system, right? Like what happened with Kimbrel the other night. Kimbrel's ready to pitch and is about to pitch, and the guy's got 1 foot out of the batter's box. And I think Tomper said it best. It's the 10th inning. How is he supposed to know he's got 1 foot out of the batter's box? There's no batter's box.
He's focused on other things.
Right. There's no batter's box at that point in the game anyway. How are we supposed to?
Yeah, just let them play. Let them play.
Right. I like the concept of the pitch clock. I like the concept of it, but the execution, because you have umpires involved, and umpires are all about their ego and wanting to be part of the game when they're not, they mess up the execution thereof. And that's the part that's frustrating to me as a fan.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had played baseball, softball since I was very little, before kindergarten. So I've been playing for a long time. And when I finally got out of t-ball and to like actual pitching, I never ever liked umpires, and because I'm short, my strike zone is yay big as a 7-year-old, and they couldn't call balls or strikes properly. And yeah, so I've never had any love for any sort of official in the game ever.
And it's hard, and I'll give him credit having coached my oldest daughter at softball. It's hard. It's harder then, and I get that. And they're not getting paid anything in a lot of cases, and so that's cool. And they're in that situation, and then again, even at that situation, it's still like the inconsistency makes it hard, because my daughter was a catcher, and we taught her to talk to the batters to throw them off, right? And most umpires will let it go. But every now and then you get one that would be like, you can't do that. I'm like, why? Where in the rule book does it say you can't do that? That's part of the game. So, but anyway, don't get me started on umpires.
My nephew's in Little League, and he plays catcher occasionally. And it's been kind of beautiful to see him try to frame the pitches.
I love it.
I'll just say, if he makes it to the big leagues one day, people aren't ready for me to become a major league aunt.
As someone who has known Jen for a little while now, I can confirm you don't want that.
I'm here for it. I want to see
You're
it.
not ready for it. It's gonna be intense. It's gonna
As
be
much
very
as I want it, none of you guys do.
I'll be those umpires' worst nightmare. I'm already bad at. I already have to bite my tongue at Little League.
You're gonna get ejected more than Aaron Boone.
I'm like, come on, Blue.
Oh, I can imagine. You leave your glasses home, Blue.
Yeah.
This isn't golf. Yeah, I could 110% see you just getting ejected every single game.
It's so awesome.
I love it. Well, we are in the top of the 6th. For now. It's 2 outs. So it's obviously early. Trade deadline is a long way away.
Mhm.
So right now, what do you think the Phillies should really be focusing on? Not for the trade deadline specifically, but like, because we have issues with starting pitching, our bullpen, our offense, like every single thing
everywhere
is struggling right now.
I feel like starting pitching is if I had to pick a concern right now, it's starting pitching. It's and again, I think it'll be okay by the time we get to the trade deadline. I think Ranger will have rounded into form. We'll know something more about Andrew Painter. McGarry might be up. McGarry might be up in the next 2 weeks from what I'm hearing now. So if McGarry's up in the next couple weeks and doing his thing, the starting pitching might be all right. We can have Taijuan Walker be a 4th starter, which is where he probably should be.
Yeah.
Rather than a 3rd starter right now, because that's such a significant drop off from. And I know Nola and Wheeler haven't been Nola and Wheeler yet. I get that, but it's such a significant drop off from Nola and Wheeler to Walker. It's just we need Suarez from last year, or if McGarry's going to come up and be what they think he can be as the 3rd starter rather than Taijuan Walker. Because with all due respect, Taijuan Walker is he's an innings eater. He should be a 4th starter. And the fact that he's a 3rd starter is a problem right now. So I think starting pitching is the biggest concern. I don't know that they're going to need to go. I think the best trades at the trade deadline are for guys that nobody's ever heard of. Remember in 2008 when they traded for Joe Blanton, right? And then we were all like, who? And so
great point.
You know what I mean? So it's like when you make the big splash, when I think of the big splash trade that we made is in 2010 when we brought in Roy Oswalt and we had the 4 starters. I was at that first game at Nats Park when Roy Oswalt started. I was screaming at Jason Worth the whole time.
Oh my God, dude! I hated Jason Worth.
I screamed at him for 9 innings.
Me too.
I know he heard me. I was screaming worthless at him. And
that's what I would do.
One point, he put his head down and just like shook his head, and when he did that, I knew I had him.
We were at the same game. We were at the same game. I have a picture. On Facebook. I will send it to you right after this episode. I promise I have it. It is a picture of him looking down after he took 2 strikes. My mom is in the other room. I can guarantee she's laughing right now because she knows exactly what I'm talking about. Because we would always go to Phillies Nats games or Nats games in general back in the day because it was just cheap tickets. They were $8 tickets.
Oh yeah.
And so we would just take a day and go to DC, and every single time I would boo Jason Worth. I would call him worthless. My mom's laughing right now. I can hear her. I would say worthless every time. I'd be like, he's going to strike out right now. Either struck out or popped out. There was like one time where he hit a home run or had a hit or something, like 1 or 2 times, but that was it. Oh, yeah. And I think my mom eventually got annoyed with me, but she was laughing the entire time because I was always right.
And Kylie was young back then.
Yep.
I love it. That's
a literal child.
Yeah, I wasn't even. I was in middle school and just in 5th grade is when we went to the World Series. So I was just fresh out of elementary school when Oh, that happened. But I know that's the exact same. I know exactly what you're talking about.
When I knew I got him in his head, and I stood up and I yelled even louder. I know you hear me. I know you hear me.
That is absolutely amazing. Again, that makes us different too. We're built different.
Yeah, and we are. You know, who holds a grudge like that? Who does?
I know.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
Although I will say, I was at Harper's first game back here.
I was at the
Me
second.
too.
I was at the second.
I was impressed by the hate and the vitriol. I have to say.
Oh God. Oh
that
my God.
It was pretty incredible. I was sitting like 5 rows behind a guy that had a Harper jersey, but it had Arnold written on the back, like Benedict Arnold. Like, so he had a wig.
Very niche. It's very DC. I love it.
It's very DC. Yeah, that's why I'll give you, that's a good one, because that's DC. But it was pretty incredible. Also the fact that he hit 2 home runs that night were pretty incredible.
Oh yeah, that was great.
I'm like telling him, he's like, do you guys not, the guy, he was here for years. You know, he feeds off this. Why would you boo him? You know, he feeds off
last
this.
night with the Braves.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And not to give, free naming out there, but I was watching a Harper interview a couple of years ago, and he was a Barstool. It was some Barstool interview, and he was talking about them being booed up, pitch clock error. See, injury.
Yeah, I don't know what's
going to happen one day.
Somebody's going to jerk their arm out from not throwing a ball.
Yeah, or the pitcher. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. The pitcher's going to throw at and then he's going to hit the batter.
Yeah.
Somebody, you're right, Jen. Somebody's going to get hurt. That's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
Anyway, you were a Barstool interview.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Thank you. He was asked about, the booing and the did he hit a home?
Something good happened.
Grand slam?
No, not a grand slam, but
okay, whatever. It was clearly a run. I'll take it. Pause for dramatic effect.
Crooked numbers.
2 runs. Marshy, our guy, again.
Yes.
A trade. I was going to say a product of a trade that some people
actually worked out for us.
Yeah, some people were upset about, but.
Well, how could you be upset about? What are you holding a candle for Mickey Moniak? Why would you be upset about?
Yeah, some people were.
I was for a Hoppy. A Hoppy was.
I know Hoppy. Yes.
Okay, Hoppy. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I was sad about a Hoppy. Moniak, I was like, But then it was like, Hoppy, I get it, but he's blocked, and A and B, Marsh could turn into a 10-year center fielder here. Yes.
Which I agree. I hope he does.
It's easier to say now than at the time of the trade.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, I keep interrupting you. I'm sorry.
No. Hey, this is more important. And of course, he gets out. But it was with an interview with a Barstool guy, and he was asked about, when he missed the guy, but he meant to throw the helmet at I forget who, and when he fought Papelbon, which it's everybody's dream to fight Papelbon.
Such a jerk.
Yeah.
Ultimate jerk.
I have a Papelbon story. I'll tell you off the air.
Ooh.
Okay, sounds good.
I love tea. Yeah. And he was asked about coming back to DC and getting booed, and also the San Fran getting booed. He was like, I love it. Yeah. I love being booed. It makes me want to play harder, and it shows. Yeah. And when I went to the second game back, that's the one where David Robertson gave up a walk-off walk. I have a terrible memory. I don't remember much history. And that's how you know I am so mad, because David Robertson gave up a walk-off walk because he missed through a ball to Rhys Hoskins on a grounder. That's how you know I'm mad about it.
Yeah. I'm mad at almost everything about David Robertson.
Yep. Yeah, me too. And when my mom and I decided to have a day to ourselves, and we went to the game, and the people next to us were Nats fans, obviously, few and far between, but they were there. And she was like, I'm here just to boo Harper. And I was like, congratulations. Like,
does that make you feel better?
Now they went to the World Series that year, and we were last, and we were undefeated at this time. But minor details.
Yeah.
At the time,
At the
congratulations.
time, yeah. I remember at the time we were in first place. I remember vividly.
It's good times.
Yeah.
It's good times. Only time I was happy.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But yeah, this team right now is obnoxious. But
Well, they're winning right now.
yes.
So we'll take
It's
that.
another
Yes.
roller coaster of a game, which is
So
reflective of this.
why is
season.
Walker still in the game?
Is he still?
Yeah. Tom, and he just gave up a hit. It's a single, which is fine. Thompson and having so much trust in his players. We love it, as I've said. However, it can also be his downfall.
Yeah.
Example
First pitch
right
swinging,
now.
they're seeing his pitches. He's first pitch
Yeah.
swinging, that's a hit. They're
Well,
seeing
hopefully
his
Ozuna-
pitches get him out.
Ozuna's up. I'm hoping that he grounds into a double play.
Well, he also has a DUI, so
That's right. Every time I'm like DUI.
That was the highlight of
That was so
love the-
funny.
it was
I love-
hilarious.
Again, where else would this happen?
Right.
Nowhere else.
Nowhere.
I loved being at the World Series every time somebody came up and we were chanting, "You're a cheater. You're a
Yeah.
cheater. You're a cheater."
Yeah.
And then one of them was like, somebody who were Astros fans in our section, and they were like, "He wasn't even on the team." And I'm like, "Well, he probably cheated in high school. So
Yep, that's what I do.
I'm sure he's a cheater."
Yep. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. He's part of the organization.
Exactly.
He's guilty by association.
There you
Correct.
go. And it doesn't help that there was some suspicious stuff in game one.
Was it game one or game? It was game one. That's right.
It was
Yeah,
game one.
yeah. Very suspicious. Like,
And game two. Game two is really bad as well.
don't get me started.
Yeah.
Too soon.
Yeah. Same. It's very frustrating. But this team, I'm not worried. I'm waiting till the trade deadline to get worried. Not the trade deadline, the All-Star break. That's when I get worried.
If we're still floundering at the All-Star break, then maybe I'll get concerned. But for now, it's May.
Yeah.
And I know it's almost June, but still.
But the All-Star break is like 2 months away. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
A lot can happen in 2 months.
Yeah. Kyle Schwarber hasn't even started hitting yet.
Mhm.
Exactly. Think
Not
about
even
what
season,
this
boy.
team. Think about what this team looked like before the All-Star break. We had Herrera, Familia, Didi.
Didi.
Herrera.
Again, a lot of you Phillies fans forget
Yeah.
these people were on our team.
Yeah. Yeah. Odubel Herrera was the starting center fielder last year. Let that sink in.
Didi was the shortstop,
Didi was the shortstop.
Didi
Yeah.
was the starting shortstop.
Yeah.
A guy who hit one home run all year.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
He hit
In
one.
Miami.
Yeah. All season. And this is, and I get this is not a great start. I understand that.
Yeah, that's what we've been saying.
But
Like,
it's a
not
start.
a good start.
So,
Yeah.
and this, would you rather them play like this in September or play like this now? And therefore, now you have to have a sense of urgency for the rest of the season. You can't afford to have that September swoon. Can't afford
Yeah.
it.
Exactly.
And they know, and this team knows what the expectations are. The owner has come out and said, "I expect this team to win multiple World Series." Well, I mean, that is at this point on the players. You've already gotten a manager fired, right?
That's right. I mean, and we know that Dombrowski, he's going to make moves if you're not performing.
Will not hesitate to make moves. When
Yeah.
he makes moves need to be made.
There's
That's
two
right.
things he won't hesitate to do: make moves, spend money.
Right.
Correct.
And he's
So-
got the right ownership behind him that'll support whatever he wants done.
Mr. Middleton, we love,
Yes.
we talk
Big-
about him too.
big-
We love
big
him.
Love that man. Absolutely.
And he
Yeah.
genuinely, okay, what other owner is out there catching
Ducking
balls
balls.
in the outfield? He was doing, like, he was pitching the other night. Like,
Right. You didn't even know who the owner is half the time. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I met him. I remember it was
right.
It was the playoffs. It was the first game against the Braves. It was game 3, and I was meeting up with one of my friends, and because I lack intelligence sometimes, he was in Ashburn. Okay, I assume he got out.
Yeah.
Get the, get the graphic ready.
You do got to post a graphic.
They'll never learn. Yeah, you bum. You bum. Have fun with that. Absolute bum. And
So yeah, Kylie ran into John Middleton.
Yeah, because my friend was in Ashburn Alley, and because sometimes I just don't think too far ahead, I went around the entire ballpark instead of going right here. Like,
Yeah, I've done that before.
yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Because he told me he was at Ashburn Alley, and then he also said the section number. So I don't know. I was in too much of a hyped situation to think that clearly. But I was walking around, and I was like just on my phone and watching for people and everything. And I look over, and I'm like, oh, cool. And I'm like, I stopped dead in my tracks. Like, you see like one of those in your cartoons where they're walking, and then you stop, and there's like smoke at your heels. That's exactly what it was. I was like, wait, that's John Middleton. Because there's like a long line, and there is this older guy with typical John Middleton attire, and I was like, yep, that's him. And then I see his face, and I'm like, that's my guy.
Yeah.
And so I get in the line, and someone was like, who is that? It's like, that's John Middleton.
Duh.
The owner of this team that you are supporting right now.
Right. Yeah. He's the reason we are here.
Exactly.
Right. So
I gotta post the graphic. So I think it's been a little over an hour, and I think this is a good note to leave it on. So shout out Tristan for this. Umpires are the worst.
facts.
Facts. We agree.
Love it.
Worst.
So again, this has been a fun episode. Thank you so much, Geoff, for sharing your story again and coming on. It's been an absolute blast having you on here and watching some Phils.
It's been an honor. I love you guys, big fans, and anything I can do to support the show, I'm all about it.
Thank you so much.
We
And
appreciate
yeah,
it.
we will we'll see you next weekend, Phillies at
Yes.
Nats.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we'll be
Take
Kylie and
selfies,
I-
the whole ordeal.
Absolutely.
You're gonna see a lot of content. Kylie and I are going to the Iron Pigs game this weekend.
Tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
Oh my gosh.
Oh
I
my
can't
God,
believe
that's
it's already
tomorrow.
Yeah, it's literally tomorrow.
It felt like so far away.
I just listened to the episode with Kane today. Great show, by the way.
Thank you.
I heard you guys talking about going to the Iron Pigs game. I was like, oh, I want to go to the Iron Pigs game, but I can't. So that's okay.
Oh.
One day.
Have you ever been to an Iron Pigs game?
Yes. So this is a whole nother story, but I used to write for a website called Bleacher Report, or not Bleacher Report, Stadium Journey. I wrote for Bleacher Report too, but I wrote for Stadium Journey, where we reviewed every stadium at this point in the world. And my section was the Mid-Atlantic. So every stadium from Trenton to Richmond.
Wow.
From in every sport, from minor league, from single A baseball to pro football, I reviewed every stadium. So yes, I did. I have been to an Iron Pigs game. I don't remember anything about it though. So
that makes sense. The reason you were there was because of a whole bunch of stadium reviews. So
The reason we're there is because Kurt Landis bullied me into it.
He did. He was like, Jen, why have you not come up here? He said I was his favorite. So hopefully tomorrow I remain the favorite.
Yeah, but Jen's going to bring her nephew. So
correct.
I know. That's what Jen was saying.
I know.
Very cute.
Hard to say no to that.
I know. It's tough. Well,
But anyway,
thank you guys for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. It was
absolutely
a ton of fun. And
So
everybody,
fun.
thank you for listening as always. We will see you guys next week, and stay tuned for bacon content tomorrow.
That's right. And keep following us on all the social media, Bell Smashers Pod. Go follow Geoff, voice of the fan with a PH, obviously.
Duh.
And yeah, we'll keep in touch with everyone as always.
As always.
Base hit sock.
That's our guy. Look at that.
The jersey works.
That's it.
Bryson Stott's the best player in Major League
The
Baseball.
streak continues.
It continued in the first inning.
That's true.
True. But,
All right, well, there we go, Stotty. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
good night. Thank you.